PI document on ad hoc basis. So if you look at this particular button, there are a couple of procedures available. So like I mentioned, so one of those is ad hoc PI process, which means that it's not a planned one. So these checkbox which you are seeing that they are defaulted automatically, they are coming from the configuration because these are associated with the reason and the priority assigned to this reason. So in the configuration, we have an option to default the checkbox. So you can create the PI document inactive or inactive status, So so we have selected the bin. Right now I'm carrying out the PI process at bin level. So if this particular bin has multiple products, so then I need to carry out the counting for all those. So we have got the document 10012. The next step would be to print the document. So the PI process, it's more or less same in terms of the steps which we used to do in ECC at WM level or IM level. Conceptually, it is the same thing because with EWM, the business process is not changed, right? So the next step would be ideally to print the document, but we are skipping that step. Now, in reality, once the PI document is created, you hand over the document, the printout to the operator who's gonna carry out the physical inventory account. He will count the actual quantity available in bin, and then he will report the results. So you can have this transaction code. You can leverage the RF based. If you have the RF device, then SAP has provided the RF based decode as well to enter the count. Wherein you don't have, you can scan the barcodes and all that. So now coming to this step, since we haven't done the printing as such, we have directly come to the count step. So we will initiate the count. You can see the status of the document is coming as count right now. So if you happen to, suppose you have created a PI document, but you do not want to process it and you want to delete it. So the next transaction code, which we will be leveraging to post the document after the count, we can use the very same T code to delete the document as well. You can carry out the counting at the handling unit level or at the product level. Because there could be a scenario that in your storage type, you are storing the product in the handling unit. You're not exactly storing directly the product. So after entering the details, we will save the document. So the count is updated. Now we are going to process the document further. So basically, there are certain tolerance limit, options which are there in EWM. So when you're entering the count, if the difference between the book inventory and the count which you have entered, if it is beyond that, more than the tolerance limit you have provided, then system will not allow you to process it further. So those tolerance groups are assigned to the user ID, and in the configuration, we define those tolerance limits. So it could be value based or quantity based. So there are three type of tolerance groups which are available. One is for counting, another one is for difference analyzer, and there is third one. So we'll look at it in the configuration. Other than the tolerance limit or the tolerance group which you assign to the user ID, there is another option wherein you provide the tolerance limit at the warehouse level. Now let's have a look at the details. So there is a difference of one quantity. So I've entered 146 kg. However, in the system, it would be 147 kg. So there is a difference of one quantity which is appearing over here. So this is the book inventory which we are able to see the details here. There is also an option given in EWM that if your system is, the inventory is being stored in EWM, but also in a third-party system, which you probably doesn't have the interface with. So if you want to carry out the physical inventory and to bring those in sync, you can, download the details and then upload it as well. So that option is also there. Right. So now we will accept that whatever difference is there. One point to note over here is that if you want to carry out the recount, then we can do that as well. So let's initiate that process. The concept is still the same in terms of EWM as it used to be in ECC at IM or EWM level about the recount step. So basically the business rationale would be if the count entered provided by the operator, you feel that it is not appropriate, you might want to recheck it. So then you can initiate a recount document. Basically what it does is that it creates a new physical inventory document in reference to the one which we are processing right now. But it is more or less like initiating the process altogether again. Because now you have another new document, you might want to print it and then hand it over to the operator. So you can see that the status of the previous document is coming as recounted and the new document has been created. So the next step would be to again enter the count results. So the status of the document is coming as active. We'll initiate the count. Once the details are entered, we will save the document. The data has been saved. Now the next step would be to process the document. So this T code is like a one-stop solution. So you can activate inactive document, and you can count it, initiate a recount, delete the document, and post it. So when we are posting the difference which we have identified in the book inventory and the actual count. So right now we are posting it in EWM. So we'll post it without any delay. So the moment this document gets posted in EWM, system is going to adjust the inventory count at EWM level. So you can see that the stock is reflecting as 146, but if you run the MMB report, you will notice that system is right now is not in sync with EWM, which means there are further steps which we need to carry out. Basically, this difference analyzer is a one-stop T code to take care of the differences which are arising due to different reasons. So if you select here, you can see that there are different reasons. So it's not just specific to the physical inventory process. So the priority value which I'm entering here, it is assigned to the reason code, and the reason code we assign it to uh, the physical inventory procedure in the configuration. Basically, there can be different reasons because of which you're carrying out the PI process, and then you want to prioritize them in order so that you are processing the most important ones first. Now you can see that difference value is coming as this one, and this is the difference quantity as we noticed earlier. Now there is a tolerance group. If you've assigned to the user ID, then it comes into the play. So now we'll accept the difference and we'll post it. Now it is something similar to what we used to have earlier, like LI21. So the previous step would be probably similar to LI20 in SAP WM. Now this one is somewhat similar to LI21. Basically now we are doing a posting in S4HANA. So this is an embedded EWM system. So a warehouse task is created. Basically now system will bring EWM and S4HANA in sync. So these are the main T code. Now there are a couple of other important T codes as well. So if you want to print the PI document, if you set up the procedure and the relevant condition record and all, then you can utilize it. Now you can, instead of using the difference analyzer, one by for each document one by one, you can also set up a batch job to clear the differences based on the selection parameter. And as it is, the selection parameter is kind of similar to what we saw in difference analyzer, because the difference could arise from different reasons. So if the difference is within the tolerance limit, system will make the posting. In ECC, we used to have a T code. I'm not sure exactly, but probably LX26 or something, through which we could identify the difference between the stock at IM level and the warehouse level. This T code is very much similar to that. So it will list out the any discrepancy in terms of stock is there between EWM and S4HANA. So it's just an example. So you can see that stock in ERP is coming like this, and these are the details. It is very much similar to the T code which I mentioned earlier. So it's conceptually the same thing. Now let's have a quick look at the configuration. The configuration is pretty straightforward for physical inventory process. The main thing is that you need to have a activity area assigned to the bins for which you want to carry out the PI process. Because in this configuration, we are going to assign the activity area to something called physical inventory area. And activity area is nothing but a logical grouping of bins, and those bin can be assigned to one or different storage type. So basically, ultimately, in terms of business process, if you have a set of bins or a bin, what you are going to do, you're going to do a put away process, you're going to do a stock removal, replenishment, right? Physical inventory process. So ultimately, these are called as activities, and within those activity area, so based on the activities, you define the activity area. And so if you have certain bins wherein you are not going to do the physical inventory process at all, so then the activity area which you're going to assign to those bin will not have the activity called PI process. So if there are certain bin wherein you are not going to do the replenishment, so you won't have those activities. So basically, based on the activities you are going to carry out in the real time, in the real world on those bin, based on those activity, you define, club them together to create an activity area, which is further leveraged in like physical inventory process. And then it is also leveraged in your warehouse or order creation. So there is something called WOCR, warehouse order creation rule, wherein based on the activity source, destination activity and other parameters, system identifies the warehouse task, and then it clubs them together to create a warehouse order. Then the warehouse order gets assigned to your queue, and if you have a handheld device, so and the queue is assigned to the user or resource, and the warehouse order will start appearing on those queue. But again, that's a totally different topic. So coming back to the configuration part, so physical inventory area, this is the one which I defined for the right now, the warehouse and the set of bins which I'm using. So these are the continuous PI process relevant checkbox. If you click F1, you get to know. So these are the low stock check without the PI document. It is with PI document. In a fiscal year, if you want to do the PI process when you're doing the very first put away to ensure that bin is really empty, then this is the one. So this is the quantity which it's a threshold quantity. If due to any stock removal process, the quantity goes below that, then the PI process becomes applicable. Now over here, we assign the different procedures which are relevant for this activity area. So whether you want to carry out the ad hoc basis or annual PI process, cycle counting, etc. And you can notice that most of them will have two combination. One is for product level, other one is the storage bin level. So the difference is if you store the same product in multiple bins and you want to carry out for all the bins the PI document, then that can be used. So once you define the physical inventory area, you have to assign it to the relevant activity area. And like I said, so activity area is nothing but just think of it as a set of bins. And based on the activities you carry out on those set of bins, you club them together in terms of activity area. Number range, so it's a very generic step. There's nothing much to talk about. So you define a number range interval and the relevant number range for a fiscal year or particular year rather. So this is a fiscal year variant which we used to assign at the company code level in ECC. This is the calendar. This is the price, not the pricing procedure rather. So it's the print procedure which we assign over here. And so if you want to allow the changes to be done through the difference analyzer, you can activate it. This is again to do with the tolerance limit. Here you can define the tolerance for difference analyzer, posting difference, and recounting. So ultimately, basically, we are assigning here, creating a tolerance group, which will be assigned to the user ID. You can, maintain the tolerance limit in terms of quantity as well as value. It's the same thing. Now we have seen the usage of priority. So based on the priority, in the difference analyzer, system will fetch out the relevant document. So there are 1 to 9 is the possible, value you can have over here. You can define a reason